Ryan, show me. Wax on. Oh, show me. Wax off. Sand the floor. Paint the fence. Paint the house. Damn, you're karate master, bro.
I am a karate master. And of course, learning all of my moves from the incredible 1984 masterpiece, The Karate Kid, starring Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. And I think that's the perfect lead into what we're going to be talking about this week. Am I right, Dom?
That's right. Maybe we should explain why we're talking about The Karate Kid. I mean, we're going to, like, as we said, we're trying to, like, think of other ways we could be doing the show. And one of them is, just what are we watching right now? I personally like to prepare for things that are coming out in the future. Like if, like we said, Christopher Nolan movies coming out, I like to watch some Christopher Nolan movies before the new Christopher Nolan movie comes out. So, in this case, I was telling you that Cobra Kai is coming on Netflix next week. And I said, hey, let's review The Karate Kid, tell people to watch The Karate Kid so they can enjoy Cobra Kai when it comes out. And, maybe I've seen season 1, but not seen season 2. But once you see season 1, maybe we'll do a quick review as well for top of the list. And, but with all that said, let's just talk about The Karate Kid, why it's at the top of the list for us right now. Why we're watching it. There's Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3 are available on Netflix. We're just going to talk about the first one. I saw 2 and 3 when I was a little kid, but I don't remember much. And you said you haven't seen those, or?
I mean, bits and pieces on late night TV of 2 and 3. And I think there's the last Karate Kid 2, or is that 3?
That's like 4 or something.
Okay.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah,
I've seen bits and pieces of all of them, I'm sure. But primarily focusing, obviously, on the original Karate Kid. I've also seen the one with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. Not a big fan of that one. But terrible. Why we are focusing beyond, of course, that Cobra Kai season 1 coming to Netflix, which I couldn't be more excited for because I did not have. It was on YouTube streaming service, right? Originally.
Right. Yeah. Season 1 and 2 are coming to Netflix. Yeah.
Okay. Well, couldn't be more excited for that because I'm really excited to watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah, you're gonna love it, dude.
Well, the 1984 Karate Kid. What do we got to say about it? It's the best around.
No one's gonna ever break it down.
Just another incredible part of this movie. That song and the montage sequences. But all in all, when it comes down to it, yes, this film has some awesome, karate sequences, definitely. But I think, what's really great and heartfelt about this movie is the relationship, obviously, between Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. Of course, Mr. Miyagi, played by Pat Morita, and Daniel-san, played by Ralph Macchio. Daniel LaRusso, correct? Yes. Yeah. Okay, perfect. And you get this guy who doesn't really have a father. He comes with his mother cross country, moves from New Jersey to California. And this guy, Pat Morita, who sort of takes him under his wing, protects him, and teaches him to defend himself. And it's a great heartfelt story with some awesome, awesome sequences of karate, which is awesome. Also, love that it takes place and is all filmed in the San Fernando Valley. You can see some landmarks in those films, or in this film, that you can still see today, which of course we both grew up around the San Fernando Valley, Santa Clarita Valley, but always fun as well with the films, to see these real places. Golf and stuff, yeah. Right there off the 405 on Ventura Boulevard, yeah.
Yeah.
In Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, I love going there and just remembering everything about this movie. Yeah. I love this movie. I think I give everything a high score, but I'm not going to give this one a 10, Ryan. Because I know you say I'm giving everything a 10. I'm not giving this one a 10. Just because, well, like you said, here's. Are you gonna give this one a 10?
I'm gonna give this one a 10. My jaw hit the floor when you just told me you're not gonna give this one a 10.
Wow, makes me want to give it a 10 just to be like you, man, because you're my hero. But no, like this one, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it, dude. This is a great karate, lots of great karate sequences, a lot of great training sequences. It's full of that 80s nostalgia, even though you and I never grew up in the 80s. But this is an 80s movie. This is from scene 1. You feel like it's the soundtrack. Some of the stuff they say, it's all 80s. And it really immerses you into that. And that's some of its downfall at some points. But I do have to say, like you said, it's all about the characters in this one. That's what makes this movie such a timeless classic. I wouldn't say it's, a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. I wouldn't say it's one of the greatest films I've ever seen in my life, but I'd say it's, it's an amazing movie. It's, one you have to see. It's a must watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one of the, greatest cinematic masterpieces ever, but it's a must watch for anyone that enjoys a good night of entertainment. 9 out of 10, I'm going to say.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's perfectly fair. I don't know what it is about this film that it's just it's just such an enjoyable film. It is a 10 out of 10 for me. I understand arguing that this is not on most people's, lists of masterpieces of cinema. To me, the nostalgia behind it, I remember the first time I watched this movie, I was homesick and my parents had picked it up for me from Blockbuster Video to sort of just watch while I was, recouping on the couch. And, I fell in love. I must have watched it 3 times that afternoon. Yeah, so I mean, something about this movie, the nostalgia behind it,
Me
I
too,
love
yeah.
it. I love the acting. Of course, like we said, Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita are great. Elizabeth Shue is awesome in this movie as Allie.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we get William Zabka, who's kind of our initial villain on screen, but then a truly evil villain in the sensei of Cobra Kai, Martin Kove, and he's back in Cobra Kai, correct? Or is it Zabka who's in Cobra Kai?
I don't know the actors' names.
Okay, so
Talking
Martin
about
Kove
Johnny?
plays. Yeah, so Johnny is William Zabka.
Johnny is the main character of Cobra Kai.
Got it. Okay, got it.
And that, you know what? That's actually a perfect transition. So, like you said,
Okay.
all the characters are really great in this movie. The reason I give this one a 9 is Johnny. He's good in the movie. You hate him. You don't want him to win, and that's about all that you care about him. You don't get any backstory. Why is he really, like, besides just this guy's hitting on his ex-girlfriend? But
Well,
why? Why is he such a jerk?
Can I interject there real quickly?
Yeah.
Because my guess is going to be that you're going to touch on that's covered in Cobra Kai, correct?
And that's what I'm saying is that's why I love
Okay.
Cobra Kai season 1
Right.
so much, because it adds so much backstory. And then I went back and watched this one today, and it adds a lot. If you try to piece it together, some of it doesn't fit. Some of it you could tell they just added in after. But for the most part, it makes the movie a lot better. But I do have to say, yeah, like, so that group of guys that beats up Daniel LaRusso, they're just there for you to hate them. And you know what? They do it fine. They do a fine job at that, but there's nothing deep. It's not, the kind of backstory you're kind of used to getting, like when we're talking about just thinking back to our most recent reviews, we're talking Jaws, Back to the Future. Back to the Future is a perfect example. Biff, you get a lot of backstory. There's history between him and our main character's father. And in this one, it's just he's a karate guy, beats him up because he was hitting on his ex-girlfriend.
Now here's my interjection here, and I read a great article leading up to this episode that drew some allusions between this film and Star Wars. Okay. That William Zabka, I mean, his motivation for being such a bad person is, why I said our true villain in this film, the sensei at the Cobra Kai dojo. I believe his name's John Kreese is the character's name, played by Martin Kove. Mm-hmm. And sort of how they built that relationship as Darth Vader and not Chancellor Palpatine, obviously, but why am I blanking on his name? The
Emperor?
The Emperor, thank you. Yeah.
Emperor, yeah.
Yeah. That sort of, yes, Darth Vader, or in this case, William Zabka's character, Johnny, is, doing these horrendous things, but behind him is sort of this sensei who has trained him, no mercy. That's what we hear, who's trained him poorly, as we find, in the art of karate, which we later learn from Pat Morita's character, telling us, it's there to defend yourself. It's not about, fighting people. I mean, all the moves that he teaches Johnny, he teaches Daniel there, sand the floor, paint the fence, wax on, wax off. They're all defensive moves. They're ways to feign attacks. And, that's what makes him so successful. He's not trying to, when we see the tournament, the All Valley Karate tournament at the end, he's not trying to hit like everyone else is. He's just using everyone else's, go at you attack as their weakness, and just sort of letting them pass by and just getting these taps on the back to score points.
Yeah, it's the ultimate underdog story. That's what I could say about this movie. Our hero is knocked down again and again and again. He gets the girl in the end, and he goes ahead and he wins the All Valley tournament. And probably the most incredible sequence of the movie is that final tournament in the Karate Kid what is it, the All Valley tournament, karate
Yep.
tournament. And,
Yep.
from scene to scene, the cinematography is amazing. Camera work's amazing. I love a few little technical things I picked up on from the camera work director is,
Mm-hmm.
especially in that sequence, it's just one long take. They get to the complex and Mr. Miyagi steals the black belt and then gives it to Elizabeth Shue's character, Allie. And Allie's tying the black belt on him and he's learning. He's like, I don't know, what are the rules? And they don't know the rules. And they're just following them with the camera the whole time. And they walk right up to the mat without cutting. And then they kind of push him into the ring. And then it goes right into the first fight. And he's kind of he's kicked out of the ring a few times. And then he comes back and he finally scores that first point. And they play the music and you're all hyped. And it's so cool. And the music in this one's really amazing, for an 80s soundtrack. Really great. But I do have to say, like, at the first part of the movie, you get an awesome intro of that long road trip. You see this is a journey, and, these characters are changing. This character, our main character, is going to be changing. And I have to say, I think we should say it now. Every second that Pat Morita, is it Morita or Norita?
Morita with an M.
Morita with an M. Okay. Pat Morita is on screen is incredible. He brings this movie up to an amazing movie, really. I think he's fantastic in this movie. And some of the cinematography, seeing him as the maintenance man in this hotel and just going inside his room and he's working on bonsai trees and you hear the music, the doo-doo-doo, the little whistling in the soundtrack, the wind flutes, and he's working on the bonsais and, there's all this little mysteriousness surrounding him. And it's really great as you start off. And then a few of my favorite shots, I'll stop talking in a second, but a few of my favorite shots in this movie, when they go to the beach eventually, and you see Mr. Miyagi standing on that post and he's doing the crane.
The crane technique,
And the sunset is there in the background. It's just his silhouette. Oh my gosh, it's so incredible.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I wanted to go back though to, the sequences where Pat Morita as Mr. Miyagi is on the screen. We have this leading up. He's working on the bonsai tree. He's working on the bonsai tree, or he's in there trying to catch the fly with the chopsticks.
Yep.
But then we get the big reveal and we find out sort of his backstory, with, he loses his son and his wife. And that sort of gives us the background that Daniel is not only, at least from my point of view, looking for a father figure, but Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi, is looking for a son, someone he can pass on his knowledge to, because that was taken away from him because his family's died. And I don't remember if they died in a bombing, or was it in the internment camp?
It was the Manzanita internment camp.
Manzanar,
sorry. Yes. Manzanar internment camp. And it was because it was complications due to childbirth, because Daniel reads the letter. And, when I was a kid, I'd never noticed really that much. I just thought his wife was dead and he never had a son and that was it. End of story. But I realized that there's even more. Like, if you're an adult and you knew about that, like I did now, there's a lot more to this story, and it's way, way sadder than I originally thought. Because, when I was thinking, okay, I'm going to rewatch The Karate Kid for this review, from my memory, I was thinking it's probably going to be a 7.5 or an 8. A lot of childhood nostalgia is going to push it up, maybe. But this movie warrants a high score because it really has deep character development, deep character arcs, and a lot of great action scenes. And I'm a big fan of the romance of between Allie and Daniel. And the only thing is that I kind of marked this a little bit down for is, I don't know if you remember, Ryan, but once he gets the yellow car, he gets his own car after he gets his driver's license, he drives to golf and stuff, and Allie's mad at him. Mm-hmm. But I don't get why she's mad at him, because he had seen her kissing Johnny at that country club, and then he gets embarrassed, and he slams into the guy, and he gets spaghetti all over him. And then, like, that, he should be the one that's mad at her, not her mad at him. That's kind of like something that always bothers me.
Yeah, I had never even thought about that. I just, knew that she was mad at him. But you're right. That doesn't really jive. Doesn't really make sense.
And they kind of make up really quickly. Like, he just walks behind her. He says, "Hey, do you forgive me?" And she goes, "I guess I forgive you." And then
I love the first scene though, when he's trying to apologize first, and then she's playing like the duck shooter game, and he steps in front of the gun and she shoots him and he sort of falls. I thought that was really funny.
Right. Yeah. I don't see why she would be mad at him, but
the only thing I could see is that she'd be mad because he had like gone around the back to spy on her, maybe. and then sort of embarrassed Herb when he gets spaghetti all over himself and everyone in the club sees and starts laughing.
Yeah.
And I mean, at that point, like her parents know who he is. So maybe, but no, you're right. You bring up a fair point. I think the other one knock I have in this film is we get that friendship right at the beginning of the film, and he doesn't even have his name when you look up this film. So I couldn't even tell you who it was, but the guy who sort of lives, it's Freddie. Okay. Who lives in his apartment complex. He's like this great guy. He's like, come to the beach party. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then we don't see him the rest of the movie.
Yep. Well, and they kind of write him off because, he gets beat up at the beach in that first opening scene, right, by Johnny. And then, like, remember, Daniel's on the ground and, like, Elizabeth Shue comes up to him and says, come on, let me help you. He says, no, just leave me alone. And then you can hear in the background Freddie's friends that he's with saying, Freddie, wow, you really know how to pick your friends. And then,
I saw that, yeah, but away. I mean, I thought that would give him a point that maybe he'd come back later in the film. The first time I saw it, he'd be like, wow, I realized who my true friends were or something. But that was the one part that I thought was a little unnecessary. I understand we needed to get Johnny on the beach. We needed to get Daniel on the beach to fight Johnny that first time. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I can't find, much wrong with this film.
I think we got to mention the best part of the film, besides, the karate, at the end of the film, the All Valley tournament, besides the beginning with the Halloween costumes and, Pat Morita comes in and beats all those guys up and you see him like take down all those 5 Cobra Kais. And, that's all great stuff. But, what is really the reason this movie is so famous, so incredible is after seeing Daniel just doing this guy's chores. I remember watching it for the first time and thinking, man, this guy's just going to make him do his chores. Yeah. Sand the floor, wax on, wax off, paint the fence, paint the house. And you're like, man, this guy must be tired of doing all this guy's chores. And I was fed up just like Daniel was. And sure enough, he says, this is a bunch of, BS, man. And sure enough, he says, come here, Daniel's son. And it's like, it gets really serious. And then he says, show me wax on. And then he's just going like this. Oh, you want to see this? Wax on, wax off. He says, show me wax on. And then he goes, no, like this. And then they go like this. And then we get the amazing scene. He says, paint the fence. He says, like this, and he says, okay, wax on. And he punches him. Yeah. And then he's like, he's punching him. And then you're seeing that there was a reason for all of it. And you're like, this movie is actually really thoughtful,
Absolutely. Yeah. The realization point there is huge. I will say another part of this movie I really like, and someone who I don't think gets enough credit for her role in this film, and I love her in it, is Randy Heller playing Daniel's mother. I think she's hysterical in this film. Sort of prototypical, like East Coast 80s mom. Oh, there's gonna be palm trees. Look at the palm trees. He's telling him about the pool, and then he gets to the pool, and it's empty. I think she's awesome. This
is a very funny movie. People don't realize this is a very, very funny movie. Yeah.
Well, that's what's great about this film is it's multi. It spans genres. Mm-hmm. There are some very serious, very dark parts. We come to the thought of Mr. Miyagi losing his wife and child, or even the part where Daniel has just broken his leg in the, and he's there and he's saying, I can fight. Dark scenes. There's some great action sequences. Of course, the All Valley tournament. There's some great romance, yes, with Elizabeth Shue. And then, of course, we also get some great comedy.
Yeah, and, Mr. Miyagi has some of the best ones, like when he's on the boat and, Daniel's first learning about balance. He's like, when am I going to learn to punch? When am I going to learn to punch? And then, all of a sudden he says, you must learn balance. And he says, how can you expect to punch if you don't know balance? So he shakes him and he flies him, flings him into the water. And he's laughing. He goes, Daniel, son, you're all wet.
So I want to give my favorite Mr. Miyagi line in this film. So they're in the storeroom or the maintenance room at the apartment complex, right when he like offers to teach Daniel karate, and Daniel goes, oh, you know karate? What belt are you? And he goes, oh, it's canvas. JCPenney, $5.99. You like?
I thought that was
yeah. I think that's one of the greatest lines. But of course,
and then he says he followed up. Oh, sorry. He follows that up right after with another funny line. So he says, JCPenney's $3.99. He starts laughing, and then he says, what? They don't have belts in Japan? He says, no. He says in Okinawa, if you have a belt, it just means you don't have to use a rope to hold up your pants.
Yes. But I mean, shortly thereafter, though, he gives a pretty serious line too. He goes, he sort of points to the belt and goes, karate not here, and he points to his head, karate not here, and then he points to his heart, karate in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
he goes, karate is in your mind and your heart, but you can't use the gut reaction and just fight.
Yeah.
It's about defense. And I think that's the best thing about this movie is they get into the mysticism behind karate. What's the ideology? It's not just the Americanization of it that we know. You go to a dojo, you pay money, you learn to punch a punching bag. That's not what it is really about. Mr. Miyagi knows the true form of karate and the true art of self-defense. And I think that's what's really beautiful about this movie. It's about karate, but it's also about the internal turmoil of Daniel and his growth to become a better person and find balance in his life, just like he had to find balance to learn karate. And that's really a cool thing. I think this movie is a great movie to watch any age. You can watch this with your younger kids. You can watch this as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have anything else to say?
You spot something new every time. That's just all I'm going to say is, you pointed out the scene, the balance scene. And I just recently watched this film about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. That was something I hadn't even remembered from this film where he's out on the boat, and it's something I didn't remember, but a great, great scene. Other times I watch it and, they're sequence. I forget the sequence on the beach. Another great scene where he's telling him to
practice into the waves to get, to learn how to kick. He's kicking the waves. And
I mean, there are just so many amazing sequences in this film.
Sometimes with every little bit of time that goes by in the movie, sometimes it's just mundane things. It's just Daniel painting a fence. It's just Daniel sanding the floor, but it's actually really deep because you see he shows up later in the day at first for his training. And he says, tomorrow, show up at 6 a.m. Shows up at 6 a.m., has to do more chores. Shows up a little, he isn't fully committed. But then the night after Mr. Miyagi gets drunk on the anniversary, they cut to him right after he sends Mr. Miyagi to bed. Mr. Miyagi's kind of out of commission after that. He's taking a break. But you see Daniel, as the sun is rising at the beach, practicing the crane technique and practicing balance on the boat. And you see that, now he's actually committed and he's learned the true meaning of karate. And you see him grow. And I think that's perfect. Yeah. Great work by the director to show those little progressions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe the director in this film is the same guy who directed the Rocky films. And that made a lot of sense when I first saw that. What's his name? John Avildsen is the director of this film. And I believe he directed Rocky. So directed Rocky in 1976 and won the Academy Award for Best Director. And then went on to do The Karate Kid, The Karate Kid Part 2, Karate Kid Part 3, and Rocky 5.
Okay.
So, definitely a guy who knows how to capture growth and, underdog stories, so to speak.
Underdog story, yeah. So if there's anything else you have to say, Ryan, or?
No, I mean, I think we've said all we can about this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. I believe all 4 parts are on Netflix, most likely to lead up. Oh, so only the 3 are, not the next Karate Kid?
1, 2, and
3. Or
the
last Karate Kid. There we go. Okay, so that one's not on there. But 1, 2, and 3 are on, probably to lead up to the release of Cobra Kai, which comes out when, Dom?
I want to say the 28th is the day it premieres, or it might be earlier in the week.
That'll be this upcoming Friday then.
Yeah.
Or so a week from probably when we're going to release this episode.
Right. So 1 week, and I got to say, I recommend watching Cobra Kai. Ryan's going to check it out fresh. I'm going to watch season 1 over again just to make sure it's really amazing. The first time I saw it, I was like, this is the best show I'd seen all year, honestly. And I did not expect that. And, my dad, he's very critical about what TV shows we spend our time watching. We got this one from YouTube, and he said it was his favorite show all year. That's how much he liked it. And he watches a lot of different kinds of shows, but it's really amazing. You need to see season 2. I heard good things about that as well.
Well, we know B has great taste in TV, so definitely on that recommendation, I'm not going to hesitate at all or delay to watching this one as soon as it drops on August 28th.
Okay, so that's what's at the top of the list for us on the watch list this week. Other things real quick here at the end, Ryan, that you're watching right now or getting prepared for? Anything we're going to be reviewing in the future you can think of?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually just started this one yesterday, and I definitely think a review is in its future. It's called High Score. It's a brand new limited series on Netflix. It's all about the history of video games. So it starts with, our originals, Atari in America, Bandai games in Japan, and sort of just the evolution from Pac-Man and and Space Invaders, to the masterpieces we have today. Really a great show. I'm just one episode in, but I definitely think there'll be a review there in our future for that show, because I know you and I are both big video game guys.
Oh yeah, totally. That sounds something right up my alley. Do you know how many episodes that is?
I think it's 8 episodes.
Okay, right on. Yeah,
it's a limited series.
We'll binge that over the next couple weeks, and we'll get a review out whenever we both finish that. And looking forward to that. Other thing I can think of is soon we want to release our Mulan review of the animated film from the 1990s before we watch the live action Mulan coming out for $30 on Disney Plus. So that's in the future as well. I can't think of anything else. I know we're trying to get some more Christopher Nolan reviews out there. We did the Dark Knight trilogy, which was the most important one for us to release. But, there's a lot of other great films that we both enjoy. Interstellar, Inception. We kind of want to talk about those films. Maybe we'll do just our favorite Chris Nolan films. Maybe we'll just review the ones we haven't seen. Like, I know I haven't seen Memento, which is really bad. That's one of his best films I've heard. Haven't seen Memento, haven't seen The Following. Ryan, you haven't seen The Prestige, which is, dare I say, my personal favorite. Even though The Dark Knight is always going to be the best of all time, out of his films, I think The Prestige is just about on that level. I love The Prestige. So, maybe we'll talk about that one. We'll see. We want to release some of those reviews in anticipation for Tenet coming out in September.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot on our plate coming up. We'll keep the content flowing for you folks, the viewers at home. But otherwise, unless you have something else to say, Dom, my name is Ryan Barnett, RB. You can find me on Instagram at RB_the_SID. Feel free to reach out to me or to drop a comment letting us know what your thoughts are on The Karate Kid and what else you'd like to see from us here at Top of the List. Also, please, like and subscribe to the channel for those of you listening on Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review. Dom, take us home.
All right. Yeah, I'm Dominic Gonzalez. You can contact me on Instagram or Twitter at DomGonzalez48, DOMGONZALES 48. And I'll talk to you guys soon. See you guys next week. Have a good week.